One of the most common questions I get in sMmA is, Ryan, what's a service delivery? And so I wanted to make this video basically explaining how to go about having a great service delivery, or at least a decent one if you have no clue what you're doing. But as I was making this video, I kind of realized that this whole industry is a little ass backwards, most of which is fueled by gurus, including myself, making all these videos about client acquisition, cold calls, sales calls, outreach, making 10K per month. And the problem is that even with all these videos, you still have like 5 to 10 people every single day messaging me, Ryan, how do I actually deliver the service that I'm trying to sell people? And I don't know about you, but that sounds a little bit off to me. But really, I think all of this can be summed up by one problem. And that is, we are more concerned with how our clients can make us money rather than how we can make our clients money or give them good results. Why is this a problem? Is it money good? I like money. So to better understand this, we first have to understand what an agency actually is, or why agencies exist. And we don't have to get all technical here. If you're a business owner, why would you pay someone thousands of dollars every month so that they can go tell their friends about it, make a YouTube channel and make ad revenue like me? No, right? It's usually one of three things. Either you're saving them time, you're making them money, preferably a lot more money than they're paying you, or you're solving some type of big problem for them, which usually comes back to time or money. Then here you have a swarm of teenagers or young adults going out on the internet, basically begging business owners to give them money with cold emails and cold DMs. And once they get those clients, they have no idea what to do with the money. They have no idea what to do with the clients. And that's why agencies have such a bad reputation. Now that I'm done roasting you guys and myself, what do you actually do if you're a beginner and you have no idea where to start? So service delivery at a high level is really made up of two key components. One is getting client results, which is pretty obvious. But two is client experience. Honestly, I rarely hear people talk about the latter, even though I would say it is as important, if not more important than the former. And don't worry, because I will go over both in this video, as well as how to actually go about selecting your service. So if you're one of those guys or gals that have no idea what service to offer and to whom, you should probably listen to this part. So when it comes to picking a service, it's pretty straightforward, right? Well, it's not that straightforward, but it's okay, let me walk you through it, okay? So when it comes to picking a service, you need to consider a few things. First of all is your experience. So how much do you know? What do you actually know how to do? What skills do you have? Do you know marketing? Do you know how to do ads? Do you know how to make content? You want to take those things into consideration. If you have no experience or skills, then you want to focus on kind of like the more low level, or I guess you could say high level thing, which is your natural strengths and talent. Are you good at communicating with people? Are you good at doing calls? Are you a creative person? Are you good at video editing? And the next thing you want to consider, or you really need to consider when it comes to service delivery, is who you're offering it to. In other words, your niche. Now you can kind of get by with kind of niche hopping at the beginning, or kind of being a generalist. Let's say if you're a video editor, for example, but eventually you do want to niche down, because that's what's going to allow you to scale as well as become good at your craft. Now, when it comes to picking a niche, a lot of people overcomplicate this. Literally every single niche works, except e-commerce. If you're a beginner, don't do e-commerce, but pretty much every niche works. If there's other people doing it, you can also do it. Now, when it comes to actually picking the niche, again, don't overcomplicate it. I would say just follow these two kind of guidelines. First of all, who do you want to help? Do you want to help dentists? Do you want to help info product people who are making like courses and stuff? Do you want to help, I don't know, beauty salons, whatever you like? And if you can't find anyone you really like or want to help, then think about who are you well suited to help? Who do you think you can help? And if there's still no one, then just pick a random niche that your friend is doing and just go with it. It really doesn't matter, because you're going to learn the skills, you're going to figure out what you like, and then you can pick another one later. So now that you know who you want to help, let's get into the actual like nitty gritty of picking your service. So a lot of people just say, oh, I'm going to do Facebook ads, or I'm going to do, TikToks or shorts, but you have to approach this in a kind of logical or intellectual way, right? I talked about this in one of my previous videos, but you want to actually figure out what does your client, or what does your target audience or client or prospect in your target niche actually need help with? What problems do they have? And more importantly, why do they have that problem? Why can't they solve it on their own? And why would they need you to go in and do it for them? All right, so I just finished recording the video and I realized that I kind of forgot to talk about like how did I actually figure out what kind of problems my target client or prospect actually had, or what they needed to be solved. And so the way I actually went about this was I actually did a bunch of cold outreach, cold emails, and I was asking people like, hey, like, can we hop on like a 15 to 20 minute research call? Like, I'm just a young dude trying to like do some research in your market, and in return, I can actually give you some free marketing tips, or maybe if you're good at YouTube or you're good at like TikTok, you can be like, hey, I can give you some tips on like content creation or like whatever, right? Try to offer something in return for like 15 to 20 minutes of the time. And just be like, yeah, I just want to ask about like what problems you got going on. Why do you think you have these problems? It really is that simple. The easiest way to figure out the problem that your client has is to ask them directly. So yeah, just do your outreach, do some cold calls or whatever, and just, get your information there. That's what I did. Peace. And once you have that problem, so let's say med spas, it's getting more appointments. Let's say for real estate agents, it's actually nurturing leads and following up with them and getting them to show up for a proper showing or something. You have to figure out what the real problem for your niche is. And then once you figure out what problems they're actually having, you have to actually go figure out what kind of tools and strategies are available to solve this problem. And guys, the way you do this is, again, where I feel like most people just fuck up, even though it's literally the easiest part, is what I did to really get started in every single part of my agency, which is look it up on Google. Literally type into Google how to get more leads for real estate agents, how to get more appointments for med spas, how to get people to use my SaaS product. It's really that simple. I did this for like 2 to 3 months just to learn what the hell I was doing. And if you can't do that too, and if you have to type it into a YouTube comment, I don't know what to say. So after you identify the tools and strategies available to solve the specific problem you've identified, then you have to think about, is this something that I can actually help with, or is this something I would at least like to help with? You know, because in that case, you can just hire someone or learn it on the spot or learn it over the next few months. And if you say yes to all these questions, then there you go. You have your service, you have your niche, time to move on. And that brings us to the next piece, which is how do you actually get results for clients? And again, you want to approach this from kind of like the top down, right? Like think about it, you know, do some research and use your brain. So the first thing you want to think about is what are the KPIs, or, you know, the key performance indicators, metrics, numbers, whatever you want to call them, that actually drive the results that you're looking to get for your clients. So let's say, you know, your problem is how do I improve my return on ad spend in e-commerce for Facebook ads or just advertising in general? Then you go in on Google, type in how to improve ROAS in e-commerce, how to improve profitability in e-commerce. So you watch a bunch of videos, read a bunch of articles, and then you realize that, hey, maybe return on ad spend is driven by certain metrics, such as your ad click-through rate, such as your page optimization, such as your offer or the product itself. And then you want to dive a little bit deeper, like what actually drives, I guess, the factors driving these KPIs. So when it comes to your ad click-through rate, that's determined by the quality of your content, the editing, the pacing, all that kind of stuff, right? When it comes to your website conversion, it's how good your copy is, how good your offer is, you know, the structure of your funnel. All of these things you will naturally learn if you just type more things into Google, type more things into YouTube, and actually spend some time learning and doing your own research, right? Instead of asking some fucking dumbass like me on YouTube. And again, if for those of you guys that don't want to use your brain, go back to Google, type in how to improve ad click-through rate on Facebook ads, how to nurture leads for local business, right? How to improve website conversion rate. Like, it's that simple. Like, I don't know what else to tell you. If you can't do this, stop being an entrepreneur. Now, once you figure out, okay, I need to have higher converting creatives, I need to have a good lead nurturing follow-up process to drive my KPIs and get my clients better results. Now you have to figure out how to actually deliver on that. So I already created a whole video on whether you should outsource or not. I'll put it on the screen somewhere here. But basically, this is really up to you. If you know what you're doing, I do recommend you do as much as you can on your own at the beginning, just so that you can build your own systems. And this makes it so much easier when you scale and when you have to train your own contractors or employees in the future. It just makes things so much smoother. So if you know how to do something, do it yourself first. Now, if you have no clue what you're doing, hire someone and get them to teach you as they deliver the service over time. Because guys, you need to understand what you're selling. Otherwise, what are you doing? Now, this next and last part, I would say, is probably the most important part of getting client results and actually keeping clients on for a decent period of time. And that is troubleshooting. So this is basically, you know, what happens when the service you're delivering isn't getting the results that you want. And honestly, I would say this part is probably what will define your success and your journey as an entrepreneur, your ability to problem solve. So honestly, the biggest remedy to this, again, is to know what the fuck you're doing. And this isn't going to be a quick process. This is going to take quite some time and longer for some services and some niches compared to others, which is why I recommended that you start with a convenience offer as a beginner, because the skill cap is usually much lower. I'll tell you guys what I've done. So I do YouTube ads for info products and for coaching businesses. And so when I started out my agency, you know, several months ago, I literally went on YouTube, I typed in how to get results for info product businesses, how to get results for course creators, right? How to create good ads for YouTube, or marketing strategy for YouTube ads or for info product businesses. This is literally what I did for like months on, or at least several weeks on end. I would just watch hundreds of YouTube videos, hundreds of hours of content, and I would learn this on my own, and I would take the time to actually understand what's going on and what I'm trying to offer. And during this time, I wasn't just, you know, sitting back with my brain turned off and just watching video after video, not doing anything. I was taking notes. I was building on my scripts. I was building on my templates. I was building on my SOPs so that I could actually deliver results for clients using the information that I've gained during all this time. But this is what it takes, guys. Businesses are basically hiring you to basically provide a service that they can't do themselves, right? That they don't have the expertise or time or resources to do themselves. And you're going to sit here and complain that you don't know how to provide it, but you still expect people to pay you money. But yeah, this is basically how I learned my own service delivery. And honestly, guys, if you can't even figure out the basics of what you're trying to offer with your service for your business, even when you have the entire knowledge base of the world at your fingertips, you're probably not going to be successful. Sorry, that's how it is. Sucks. So now let's talk about the other important thing, which is client experience, which I feel like people just don't talk about enough. So there are a few things you want to keep in mind when it comes to having a good client experience. And the reason client experience is so important is because you're working with people. An agency is very much a people type of business. You're working with clients, your clients working with their people, you're working with your team, you know, you're working with your That's it. Right. Yeah, people. And when you're working with people, you want to make sure that you're having or giving them a pleasant experience, kind of the same way you would expect you want to be treated if you were to pay thousands of dollars for any type of service or product. So there are a few kind of key components when it comes to a good client experience. The first one, of course, I talked about this in my previous video, is communication. And this comprises of many different things. First of all, is actually keeping in touch with the clients. Are you actually talking to them, making sure they know what's going on? Are you giving them clear instructions to set up their accounts, to start working with you, to help you record content for whatever ads you're making for them? Like, imagine you're buying an sMmA course. You would want it to be clear and concise and easy to follow. So do the same for your clients. And then there's also the way that you communicate. Like, do you speak the same way that you did in your third grade presentation, mumbling, depressed, quiet, stumbling over words like me? Or are you confident and friendly and outspoken? Are you able to convey that if you're a human, that you actually know what you're talking about, that you're actually a competent business owner? But yeah, guys, again, an agency is pretty much a purely people type of business. If you don't have the people skills or the communication skills, then either go learn them, which I highly recommend because that transfers to all areas of your life, or go find a different business model because you're not going to get by without learning how to communicate. So the next piece of your client experience, which I would say is quite important because it's really one of the first things your client experiences when they come on with you, is the onboarding process. Now, this doesn't have to be like some super amazing, automated, fancy process, but you do want your onboarding process to be at least somewhat streamlined, and you want it to be smooth, and you want it to be useful for both your clients and yourself so that you can actually not only deliver a good experience for your clients, but also be more confident on your sales calls. Like, for example, when your client asks you, like, okay, like, what's the next step with you? How do we move forward with you? What does working with you actually look like? You can confidently say, like, hey, this is our onboarding process. It takes like 1 or 2 hours. Once you're done with it, you can basically get started with us and get your results. And this is also really important because it is essentially your first impression with the client, right? Of course, aside from the sales calls, but after they become your client, the onboarding is literally their first impression of your business. So you want it to be effective, you want it to be clear and helpful, and you want it to be smooth for your clients so that they feel they are working with someone professional. Now, what do you actually put in the onboarding process? So again, keep it pretty simple, but basically you want it to cover all your bases for getting started with your work. So this is like your ad account setup, this is your customer avatar research, your marketing details that you want from your clients, as well as any onboarding processes for like your communication, Slack, for example. Now, the third piece I would say is important when it comes to your client experience is reporting. Now, this is slightly different depending on the type of service you're offering, like ads versus, content creation. But again, don't overcomplicate it no matter what you're doing. Keep it pretty simple, but it is very important to have no matter what type of service you're offering to your client. So let's say you're doing advertising. You just want to have the most important numbers there. Like, what's your ad spend? What's your revenue generated? How many clients or appointments that you're bringing in? How many followers or subscribers are you adding to the business each month? These are the things you want to track, and essentially you want to track what your client is paying you for. And finally, when it comes to your client experience, again, just be human, be accommodating, be a good person. And just to expound on this, basically work with your client, be accommodating. Like, sometimes problems will come up. Your client will have certain needs or certain obstacles that may not be within the exact scope of what the service you're offering is. But even then, you still want to try your best to solve that problem for the client. Like, yes, as agencies, we do have our standardized processes for getting results and whatever, but oftentimes your client is going to tell you what their real problems are in their business. And oftentimes that's really the problem they want you to solve and are really paying you money for. And if you can't even solve the small problems for them, or you're not willing to go out of your way to at least make them feel better when they're working with you, they're probably not going to stay with you for that long. And again, think about it from the other point of view, right? What if you were paying thousands of dollars per month for someone else to help your business? You would want them to be nice to you, right? You want them to be considerate of you, considerate of your problems, and really be accommodating as much as possible, especially at the price point that you're paying. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I know this isn't a how to get a 17x ROAS on Facebook type of video, and I don't want it to be. There's already enough people out there telling you how to do that, and I want to tell you how to actually use your fucking brain. Facebook ads and Google ads have been around for over a decade at this point, and 90% of the questions I see on YouTube and in my Discord server can be answered with literally a single search on Google, like literally 3 to 5 minutes of your time. And again, if you still can't figure out like the basics of what you're trying to do with all these resources on your own, entrepreneurship probably isn't for you, and that could be a good thing. If you can't solve your own problems to a basic level, you're not gonna have a good time here. And everything I've told you in this video is basically what I did to go from 1K a month with an agency to now I did over 9K last month. And basically I got there in basically 1 month in between the two income levels. And the way I did this was, again, I watched a shit ton of videos, I did a bunch of Google searches, I reinvested all of my client profits back into courses, back into coaching whenever I could afford to, and I watched some more videos. And of course I implemented everything I could from these courses and from these videos so that I could actually improve myself over time. And I did improve. And that's literally it. If you can't afford like a $3,000 to $5,000 course on like marketing, on service delivery right now, then go get some content creation clients, go get some easy convenience service offer clients on like Upwork or some Instagram DMs or whatever, and just get like to 1 to 2K a month, which is basically what I did, right? I had no idea how to do content creation, but I was like, hey, let me just go hire some people, let me go do some basic outreach, and let me go apply to a bunch of Upwork jobs. And that's what I did. And I used that income, I used that profit to basically buy more courses, to improve my skill set, and And now I'm in a position where I can actually confidently offer a higher ticket service. And that's how I'm growing my agency. But yeah, guys, it's that simple. It's not easy. It's going to take time. You're going to rack your brains. You're going to feel a little bit stressed, a little bit stupid, but that's the whole process. And if you can't even spend the time to go and figure shit out, bump your head against the wall and eat a bunch of shit for at least a few months, or at least even like a few weeks, I don't know what to tell you guys. My journey has not been easy. A lot of guys are going to have a much easier time than me on their journeys, but it at least takes a certain, like, no matter how talented or how lucky you are, it's going to take a little bit of time to like figure shit out. Don't expect the answer to come to you from one question or from one YouTube video. It's going to take time. You're going to have to pull a bunch of shit together, and eventually things will start to click, and eventually you will start to be able to build on your experience and your knowledge and start getting better results for yourself and your business and your clients. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Go figure out your shit and get to work. See you in the next video.